So in this video, we will talk about what are abstract classes and what are pure virtual functions. So to be simple to say what are pure virtual function, that means we create and define a virtual function. However, we don't know how to implement that function. So we just simply to make this virtual function equal to 0. So for example, I have the shape class. So then I will have a virtual function called draw. That means how to draw a shape. Declared in the shape class. But honestly, I don't know what kind of shape yet. So that's why I don't know how to implement this draw member function. Since we don't know how to implement the function body, we just simply give them a sign to 0. So for any function, if you don't know how to implement the function body, for the virtual function, we just simply assign to 0. We say that's the pure virtual function. So if you have a pure virtual function happen, actually make this shape class become an abstract class. Why abstract class? So the abstract class, that means you have a member function. You don't know how to implement that. Since you don't know how to implement that, we kind of missing something. So those kind of class, we make them become abstract class. A class is an abstract class, cannot use to create any object. So this is just a simple explanation about what is abstract class and the pure virtual function. So now here, we will show you the example how to implement that. So how to implement that, I want you to see this UML diagram. Actually, this is not the full UML diagram. It's just the object hierarchic relationship. So did you remember in the past example, we have the commission employee. So we calculate the salary using the commission rate and the gross sales. So then we have base plus commission employee inherited from the commission employee. Because the base plus commission employee, you have the commission rate and the base salary. But we do have some employee, they are salaried employee, right? So every week or every month, their salary just based on the base salary. So that's why here, actually this one is the complete, the employee hierarchic. So here, actually, we will have an employee class. This employee class actually is really the base class. In here, we defined the first name, last name, social security number, or the hire date. From this base class, if we add a salary, so they become the salary employee. If we add the commission rate and gross salary, so then we become commission employee. So additional to commission employee, we will have base plus commission employee. So we want to use this kind of the employee class hierarchic to build up a payroll system. So that means here, that's the reason why we have the inheritance relationship. Because even we have so many different employee type, right? But when you want to save all the employee information, you need to save in an array or a vector, right? So what kind of data type for your vector and array you want to use? Definitely, you don't want to create a salary employee array, commission employee array, then base plus commission array employee array, right? So that's too complicated. So on the other hand, actually, when I want to group all my employees, no matter which kind of type, how I calculate their salary, they are all one kind of employee. So that's why when we save the employee information, we just need to create one employee vector. So in here, we can using this vector pointer to refer to any kind of employee object. So that's our case study. We want to build up a payroll system. So of course, we will create all different kind of commission employee object. but no matter which kind, they will all can reflow by the employee pointer. So then in the current pay period, since we have all the employee in the employee vector, right? So then the company decide to reward only the base salary plus commission employee to add their 10% to their base salary. So then we will see how we will create one employee array pointer to refer to different kind of object. But then we can find what type they are. So then we only reward 10% to the base salary. So the first thing that's see individually how they implement, how they inheritance from each other. So that's the first one. Actually, now we move all the common information to the employee class. So this one is our base class. So this base class, we have the first name, last name, and the social security number. So for the employee constructor, we will pass in the first name, last name, and the social security number. Of course, we have their getter function and the setter function. So they are very similar to before we have the commission employee. But one thing is here, since this one is the base class, right? So that's why here we will add the earnings and the print function. They both need for all different classes. So we make here is virtual function. So then you will see here, I define that virtual function, right? But for the employee class, do I know how to calculate the employee class earning? I don't have the earning information. So that's why here you will see this earnings, we don't know how to really implement that. That's our pure virtual function. We assign that equal to 0. So because if a class, you have a virtual function, you make this class become an abstract class. So our base class employee is an abstract employee class. So then here we do have another virtual function print. But here the print, we have some information we can implement because we can print the employee information, first name, last name, social security number. So quickly we show you how they will look like. So the abstract class, you will define the class just normally. So then you have constructor and the getter function. So the abstract class, actually, they don't really have the abstract keyword. They only have because you have a pure virtual function. So this pure virtual function make our employee class become an abstract class. Okay, so then after we have the base class, we see the next one. So then we have a new employee class we call salaries. So this salaried employee, we will inheritance from the employee class. We just need to add the base salary. That's double. So that's why when you create the constructor, the base salary employee, they have the first name, last name, social security number, and the base salary. The default is 0. So we have getter function, setter function. So the same thing, because earning and the print are virtual function from the employee class, we need to override these two functions. For the earnings, how I calculate the earnings, right? I just need to display the base salary. So then how should I print? Right, so I can just call the print function from the employee class, then add to the base salary in the salary employee class. So that's the header file for the employee salaries employee header file. So you see here, we just need to add the base salary. So then your constructor and getter function. So again, right, we have our virtual function, but here the earning and the print, we know how to implement. So here is the header file. So then continue, we quickly show you the CPP file. So you can download from the source file, demo file. So that's why you see here, we just return our weekly salary, that's our earning. So when we print the employee information, we can title that's the salaried employee. So then you see, you just need to call from your base class. So double column. So this print function actually from the base class. So we add the weekly salary. So quickly, we still have our commission employee, but now we inherited from the employee class. So only have the gross sales and the commission rate in the commission employee. So we have the getter function for these two. So again, you see how to calculate the earning and the print. They are both virtual function. So they are similar than what we implemented before. So that's, you just need to download your commission employee header file. So then that you will see the definition. And you go through that. Pause the video anytime because I will just quickly to show you where the source file is. And they are pretty the same as before, so that's why I didn't spend time to explain in detail. So then we have the last one, our base plus commission employee. Because this one we already inherited from the commission employee. So this one have no change. They are exactly the same. So the most important thing now is we want to build up our payroll system, right? So that's why like earlier I said, even we have different type, salary employee object, commission employee object, or base plus commission employee object. So one thing is all different kind of type object, I want to save only in one array, right? So actually this, we're using the vector. So this vector, actually the data type is employee pointer. Why? Because remember we say inherited relationship, all the child class is one kind of parent class object. So that's why even I have all different kind of type employee object, but they are just using the base class employee as the pointer. So earlier we have our employee class is abstract class. An abstract class just cannot create a solid object, but they can be the data type. So we just say, for example, I have a vector called employees. So then you see from the employee 0, 1, 2, I refer to different object. But here, can I using the vector to invoke the print function? Yes, you can, because the print function did define in the employee class, right? However, when we have, since we make the print function become a virtual function, so then when we want to call the print, they will do the dynamic binding. Okay, so you can either using the pointer, just using the arrow to call the print function, or you can do the dereference. So then here, because the dynamic binding, so actually we have the information will display correctly. So this example, you can see the driver program for chapter 12, example 5. So then here we create the salary employee, commission employee, and the base plus commission employee. So then they can print out the information one by one. But the most important thing, let's save that in our vector. So the vector you need to create, actually they need to be the employee pointer type. So since now we only have 3 objects, that's create the size is 3. So they can just refer like that. So then when you're using the for loop, they can using the dynamic binding, using the employee pointer to invoke the print function. But because the print is a virtual function, so then they will see which object they are really referred to. So then they will display correctly. So that's why here we're using the pointer or using the object dereference. So you can see after you run this program, so your output, they found, we see at the end, the last one. So then they will be correct. Because you see here, that's a salary employee. Besides, we have the print function from the base class. They have the salary information. So then that's a commission employee. Besides, they display name from the base class. They have the commission information. So to run this program, don't forget to have all your 4 classes header file and source file in your project. And here is our driver program. So then you can run them correctly.